and Nick.
Welcome to That Superhero Thing podcast, where we discuss the latest superhero and comic book movies and TV shows. I'm your host Nick, and joining me, as always, is my co-host Anthony.
Hello.
You okay?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm a bit surprised this week because everything else seems to have been delayed this week. So I was a little bit concerned that we'd end up getting delayed, but obviously we haven't. To be fair though, we are recording it, and some of the films that did get delayed, like Top Gun. I mean, how long's Top Gun been finished now? For about a year.
Oh, no idea.
Did you not know it'd been delayed?
I've never seen Top Gun.
Do you know what? I don't think I've seen the first Top Gun actually. But anyway, it's been delayed, even though it's already been finished. So we could still be delayed. So if you're listening to this in September, hello, welcome to the podcast. If you're listening to it next year, hope you had a lovely Christmas and a happy New Year. You've probably still not seen Spider-Man No Way Home because that'll have been delayed as well.
Please don't do this to me. My heart can't take it.
It's not going to get delayed. Oh, it might do. We'll cover it in the news. So, on this week's show, we'll be breaking down all the latest comic book movie news, including more release date delays, as we said, potential runtime for Spider-Man No Way Home, whether The Flash is in fact a comic book movie, because that's up for debate this week. Oh. Spoilers, it clearly is. And we've got new trailers for The King's Man and No Time to Die. What?
I wonder if the film about a comic book character is based on the comics.
That's pulling in loads of other comic book
really
characters.
Stupid question.
Seems absolutely ridiculous, but that's up for debate this week.
Okay.
After we've been through the news, we'll give you our full review and breakdown of What If Episode 4 before we discuss your thoughts and theories in this week's Podfans Assemble. This is also your spoiler warning. There will be spoilers and speculation throughout the episode. If you'd like to skip ahead to the What If review or to Podfans Assemble, we'll put timestamps in the description, as we always do. Quickly, before we start the news though, I know we mentioned it last week, the Patreon is now live. You can find the details at thatsuperherothing.com/Patreon, or you can actually go to patreon.com/thatsuperherothing. We like to give you choices. You pick whichever one you want to go for. On there are 3 brand new episodes of the bonus podcast Into the Podverse. So there is the Catwoman Bad Movie Review, MCU Draft, me versus Anthony, and our interview with Richard Nemmons from The Direct. You can also access the Discord server, which has been up for a couple of days now. It's been loads of fun, to be fair, talking to some of you guys on there. And also, we have now scheduled our first live Patreon watch party for the God Level tier members. We are going to be doing Ben Affleck's Daredevil, which Anthony's not seen. Yeah. We've been asked whether we're doing the theatrical version or the director's cut, because apparently the director's cut's kind of good. We're going theatrical because it's all about it being as bad as possible.
Oh God.
If you sign up as well, you'll also be able to listen to the podcast being recorded live. We have got one of our patrons listening live, so it's a little bit more nervy this week, but we'll get through it. So again, that's another one of the perks, and we will also be giving patron shout outs every episode. We'll normally be doing it at the end, but this week, because we're mentioning it now, we might as well do the patron shout outs now. So it's been up for 2 days at this point, and we've already got 2 patrons joined up. So we've got Kenneth Wilson, who is listening to the podcast right now as we're recording, as we said, and we've got Geeky Nate on there as well. So thank you guys for signing up and supporting the show. So let's do news then. So we'll start off with some Moon Knight news, or potential news anyway. Apparently, or the rumour is that Hulk is potentially going to be in the Moon Knight series.
Yeah, I've seen that as well.
You've seen this?
Yeah.
It's a bit... I'm not convinced he's going to be. Have you seen why they're talking about it?
No.
So, there's an MCU fan called Dara Magyari who took pictures outside the hotel where Oscar Isaac's staying.
Okay.
So they got a picture with Oscar Isaac, and then an hour later, outside the same hotel, Mark Ruffalo was there, and it's in Budapest where they're filming. So that's why we all think he's in it.
Budapest.
It could be Budapest.
It's always like, Budapest,
isn't it? It always centres around Budapest, doesn't it? To be fair, he was questioned about it, Ruffalo, and he said, "I wouldn't want to spoil anything," which kind of makes me think it's probably not true, because he would have just spoiled it because he's shit and stuff like that.
Maybe.
Potentially.
Maybe we just need to wait for him to leave his Instagram on again, or a Facebook Live.
I'm sure he'll doing it at some point. There was also something that I missed last week that I just found this week. We talked about what he's going to be doing in She-Hulk, because we know he's in She-Hulk.
Yeah.
So that's finished filming now, and they've given out crew gifts, and one of the gifts that's been given out, there's a photo showing Hulk serving drinks at a bar called Bruce's Bar. And do you remember when we saw the shots from it? We said it looked like it was in like a bar or something.
Yeah.
So apparently that's going to be Bruce's new job. So he's lost an arm. He's not a superhero anymore. So he's thought, I know, I liked watching Cheers when I was a kid. So I'm gonna make my own bar, and that's potentially going to be.
And it's a business that he can run when the sun's getting kind of low.
That's it. Anthony.
See what I did there?
It's genius.
I know, right?
It's like they plan this. Don't they do though? MCU plan all these sort of things, don't they? I'm really excited to see him in She-Hulk, but I'm not convinced on the Moon Knight situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like because Hulk's never had his own show, but he's always been in stuff, and it's always been worth him being in there.
Yeah.
What I don't want them to do is over kind of
using too much,
balance it and
because
use it
they
too
can't
often.
because of the whatever the contract is, licensing issues with Universal, that they just whack him in everything.
Yeah.
I
don't want him to do it for the sake of it. I'd rather it be because it will add to the story.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And to be fair, it has in everything he's been in. And I'm sure it will in. He needs to be in She-Hulk, doesn't he? At the end of the day. But yeah, we'll see. Some Doctor Strange news. So we talked about last week that it had been reported or rumoured that there was going to be a Foxverse character in Doctor Strange, and one that was going to fight them. Yeah. So apparently it's been revealed who that's going to be. We've said spoilers. I don't think it's going to be true. I'll be dead honest. If you want to fast forward a couple of minutes, go ahead and do it. So apparently they reckon it's going to be Charles Xavier, but this has come from and I'm not trying to put anybody down, it's come from a news site called moviescope.com that started in August, and it's the only news story on there. So I'm not 100% sure whether
it's fake news.
Exactly. It might be. It's a good way. To be fair, they've gone from 0 followers on Twitter to 2,500 followers in like a week. So it's very good.
It did the job.
It's very good. Let's think about who else could be popping up, Anthony, and we'll post it on our website. Yeah, because we'll just get loads of followers then. I mean, it could be true. It could be. I'm not convinced. They've said that they don't know who's going to be playing him, or whether it's going to, what sort of like iteration of the character it's going to be, whether it's going to be one we've seen already, or whether it's going to be a whole new one.
Well, it's got to be someone that would match her. That's the thing that I'm thinking.
But if she's got like reality warping powers, would he be able to?
Well, I don't know. That's why I kind of had just always assumed it's going to be Jean Grey.
If it was going to be somebody, yeah. Or Strange Supreme after this week's episode.
Maybe.
Of What If? Because he's hella powerful, isn't he?
Could be Storm. That'd be a good fight.
What, is he going to make it rain on her? Blizzard and a bit of snow, maybe a little bit of lightning. No, I can't see it. There's also rumours about Doctor Strange this week from Diz Insider that Mobius and Sylvie are going to appear in it. I believe that. Yeah, I think it'd be. If Loki's going to be in it, surely they'd need to, even as a cameo in it, like talking to them or something like that. Before he leaves the new version of the TVA, I could see that. Yeah, I believe that. Hopefully, because the more Mobius, the better. And I know I liked Sylvie, but I know a lot of people didn't like Sylvie, did they? This Flash news then. It's been a while since we talked about the Flash. Feels like we had like a leak every week.
I think we've only had like a week's break from it.
Maybe two. Well, to be fair, there's no leaks this week, but the cinematographer for the movie, Henry Braham, I think his name is. Yeah. I know that's his name. It's whether I've pronounced it right. Sorry. He did an interview with Collider, and he said it's not actually a comic book movie. So his quote is, again, it's not really a comic book movie. It's not based in reality, but it's much more kind of technically complex. I think all the filmmakers are really keen that the technical complexity of the storytelling doesn't get in the way of just good quality filmmaking. I mean, it's a comic book movie. It's about the Flash and Batman and Supergirl.
And they've brought in the Batman that was in the 1989 that everyone recognises.
Not only have we got one Batman, we've probably got two Batman.
Yeah.
Batman. It's a comic book movie.
Batman.
Two Batman. It's a comic book movie. What are Warner Brothers doing? I mean, at this point, I'm not convinced general audiences are that interested in DC.
I'm not convinced Warner Brothers are that interested
no, I'm not
at this
either,
point.
To be perfectly honest. But I feel like they've probably lost a number of people now because of it. Yeah. And it's going to be confusing to a lot of people as well when they start seeing Michael Keaton's Batman in the trailer and Ben Affleck's Batman in the trailer and The Flash. It's just going to confuse a lot of people. Yeah. Surely the people that you need to be sort of aiming at and targeting are people who like comic book movies. Yeah. So don't now come out and go, it's not a comic book movie, because it's like, who else? Who's going to watch a movie? Exactly. If it's not for comic book movie fans, it must be. But we'll see. We probably will see the first look next month. Now we're in September already, aren't we?
Yeah.
So I think we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. DC Fandom is on the 16th of October. It's basically like DC's answer to Comic Con. It's like I think it's like half a day. We're expecting to see some footage from The Flash, Shazam, Batman, or the Rob.
Do you know, I'm
Batman.
genuinely quite excited for Shazam too.
I am.
Because I enjoyed the first
and
one.
Black Adam as well.
And Helen Mirren as the villain. Like, I'm quite looking forward to seeing that as well.
Yeah, it was quite. I wasn't expecting to enjoy the first one as much as I actually did. So I think, but I don't know whether it's because I went in there with low expectations that I ended up really enjoying it.
I didn't know who he was, so
Shazam.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why I went in totally blind and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't know much, but again, we should see the first footage from it because it's wrapped filming this week as well.
Okay,
so we should start seeing some footage for it next month at Fandom. We will be covering it on the podcast, obviously.
Yeah.
And we will also, we've not figured it out yet, but we're going to sort out some sort of like live thing because it's on for a few hours. So we'll sort of talk to all you guys about it while it's streaming as well. Keeping on the DC train, we've had apparently our first reactions to the Batman. Apparently there was a test screening this week. It's been confirmed by a couple of places that the test screening did happen. A guy on Twitter who also runs a podcast, Blu-ray Angel, he knows somebody who's seen it, and he's basically just been telling loads of things about what the film's about, what it's like and stuff like that. It'd take me 6 hours to sit there and go through every single comment he's made about it. Sounds really good. The things I took from it though, he said it's like a horror movie. It's very dark, very graphic and very scary. And Paul Dano's Riddler is crazy.
Oh.
I like the fact that they're going down a darker tone.
I like the darker tone. I really enjoyed Gotham. I really enjoyed the Dark Knight trilogy. I like that it's a bit more gritty because it feels right for Batman.
Yeah. I suppose if we, do you know what? If we're having two different Batmans, I'm getting really confused with this. If we're getting two different Batmans, then it's good that we've got the different sort of genres.
Yeah.
Not that like
you can instantly set them apart. That's the thing with it. If they've got the two genres,
I suppose Ben Affleck's and the whole Justice League one is a bit more not Zack Snyder's vision for it, but it's a bit more family friendly. You know, I think was the Whedon version. It must have been PG-13, mustn't it?
I don't think
it wasn't very good.
To that,
it wasn't very good, obviously, but they were going down like a bit more of a family friendly route. And when you're sort of putting it all in the same universe as like Shazam and Shazam 2, it is a bit more family friendly, isn't it? So it's kind of good that they're going down a little bit of a darker route, like they did with Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, going a bit more adult and a bit more graphic. I think it's a good shout. That, to be fair. Back to some Marvel news then. So we've got rumours of a runtime for Spider-Man No Way Home.
I've heard, apparently. And I know it.
You know how long it is?
Yeah.
Go on, how long is it?
150 minutes.
That's like very, very precise, that answer.
I know.
I'm impressed. So
2.5 hours.
This has come from Cineworld. So Cineworld on their website have basically put a placeholder time of 150 minutes.
But if it's going to be as big as it sounds...
It's not long enough.
Do you not think?
No, I want like 8 hours. I want an intermission. I want it to be so long that they give us designated toilet breaks and an intermission in the middle. I just want it to go on forever. I want at least 4 hours. It needs to be longer. 2.5 hours is alright, I suppose. Can we get a director's cut though? Let's get a director's cut. We need.
Haven't they talked about a director's cut on one of the Spider-Men recently?
Oh, I don't know. I've not heard that.
I'm sure I've heard something somewhere.
I was going to say I'd watch it. Obviously, I'd watch it. But yeah, I think that'd be really good, to be fair. So sticking with Spider-Man then, if you remember last week, we talked about, is Charlie Cox in the Spider-Man trailer or is he not in the Spider-Man trailer? I think we sort of sided with it's not.
It's not him, but we still think he is in it.
Yeah. Well, comicbook.com interviewed him this week for his new TV series called Kin. I'll be honest, I've not heard of it. It's the first I've heard of it, but yeah, check it out. He said, I can promise those are not my forearms. So that's not him in the trailer. But he didn't say I'm not in the film. He's got to be in it. I think he's in it.
Yeah, 100%. Even if he's not at any point Daredevil, even if he's only in as his...
Oh, it was Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked about this on Twitter. There was somebody saying, can you imagine if they ended up putting him in as a completely different character, like Ralph Boner? I said there'd be absolute murder. I thought you were going down that route then. No, we don't want that. We don't want that.
No, but I think he might just come in as Matt Murdock and we don't see him as Daredevil.
And maybe in like a
point.
post-credit scene we'll see him suit up as Daredevil. Or like a hint that he is Daredevil. Few people have said...
Or he first suits up and then just runs into a portal and goes somewhere completely different and we don't see him again.
Yeah.
That'd be quite cool.
Maybe. Or maybe he comes through a portal because he's from like a slightly different universe with the Netflix universe. That'd make sense as well. He's got to be in it. He's got to be in it. He's not denied it. There was another interview with him this week as well where somebody asked him if he was in it, and he was just like, yeah, I can't really talk. And it's like that's just, yeah, he's in it, isn't he? He must be in it. He's got to be. Trailers then. We got 2 new trailers this week. Anthony's not going to have seen either of them. I already know that. We got the Kingsman trailer. So the prequel to Kingsman 2. Yeah, that's it. You haven't seen number 2.
No, I haven't. Just bought it on DVD so that I can watch it.
It's good. It's not as good as the first one, though.
Never was going to be. Samuel Jackson in the first one.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
His whole scene with them cheeseburgers is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
McDonald's.
Yeah, and then his lisp as well. It just killed me off every time. It was so good.
To be fair, the cast in the second one was quite good as well. Jeff Bridges was quite good. It's got a good cast. Anyway, let's talk about the Kingsman anyway, because we just keep going off on this one. So, bad guy Rhys Ifans is playing Rasputin. We've got Jimon Hunsu from Guardians of the Galaxy and other things, Gladiator as well. He's going to be one of the Kingsmen. Ralph Fiennes is the leader of the Kingsmen. Gemma Arterton is in it, so it's got a decent cast.
I haven't seen Gemma Arterton for a while, though.
I can't remember the last time she's been in anything.
St. Trinian's, wasn't it? I don't remember seeing her in anything after that.
Wasn't she in a Bond? I mean, we're going to get onto Bond in a minute. She was a Bond girl. She was a Bond girl, wasn't she?
Actually, that was just after St. Trinian's, I think.
I didn't watch that Bond film. We'll talk about Bond in a minute. But yeah, no, I didn't watch it. It looks good though. Really graphic.
Yeah.
Loads of really foul language and stuff like that. It's a Red Band trailer that got released. So there's people getting their heads chopped off and all that sort of stuff.
Standard.
Looks good, but I'm not sure about the setting. I like the way Kingsman's also set in the modern day, and this is plonked in the middle of World War I or World War II. One of them. I'm not too sure. It looks alright though. Again though, it's been delayed so many times.
Has it?
Yeah, it is coming out now next month. We also, as I said, got the trailer for No Time to Die. So the last James Bond film. So the final trailer. Again, that's been delayed so many times.
Yeah.
You haven't seen this trailer?
No.
I've watched it. It looks quite good. Full of action. It's really pushing the fact that this is the last Bond, or the last Daniel Craig Bond ever anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the last Bond because I'll be honest, I got a bit fed up with them. I feel it's kind of weird talking about them in this way because Kingsman's taken over in my opinion.
I loved Skyfall.
Okay.
I thought that was the best Bond film.
Yeah.
Now, that's probably quite a big statement to be fair, because there's a lot of more classic ones that people really, really love.
You thought it was the best Bond film ever?
I thought Skyfall was the best Bond film ever.
Really?
I absolutely loved it. And then I couldn't watch the next one.
See, I've seen Skyfall.
I couldn't keep.
But can't remember it.
I didn't stay hooked. Whereas with Skyfall, there was not a minute that my eyes were just glued to the screen the whole time.
See, I just think they're all a bit too dark and gritty now. That's not what James Bond is. James Bond is like Roger Moore, Moonraker. Do you know what I mean? That's James Bond, in my opinion. And that's how I think...
See, when I was old enough to start watching James Bond, it was already Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it probably was with me as well, but I've gone back. I remember watching them as a kid and just having them on in the background sort of thing, but that's what I remember.
See, I don't remember any of the old ones, really.
I sound really old now, don't I? I didn't go to the pictures and watch Roger Moore or anything like that. The first ones I proper got into were Pierce Brosnan, which again was great. They weren't as tongue-in-cheek as the Roger Moore ones, but they still had that sort of feel to it. And I enjoyed Casino Royale. I thought Casino Royale was really, really good with Daniel Craig, because I felt like it was dark and gritty, but it still had its humorous moments.
Yeah.
And then Quantum of Solace, I think I fell asleep. I just found it really, really boring. And I think all of them since have been a bit crap. And I think, as I said, I feel like Kingsman has taken what everybody loved about James Bond and run with it. And that's
just
why... But
kind of modernised the humour a bit.
Exactly.
As well.
And that's why I feel like maybe the Kingsman, because it's set in the 40s, I wonder whether they're going to struggle to sort of keep that same amount of humour and some of the jokes. But again, I mean, I also find it a bit weird because, again, James Bond, it's like there's never been a continuation. Do you get what I mean? Every film was separate. You had the same actor playing them and a few of the actors recurring, but
where there seems to be
this is like a story.
Now.
Isn't he married in this one? Because he married the girl in the last one, and it's the same Bond girl. I can't think of a Bond film where there's been the same Bond girl in 2 films in a row.
No.
Do you get what I mean? So I'll watch it. We'll watch it for the podcast. We'll cover it for the podcast as well. But I think after this one, I think they need to have a rethink about where they take James Bond. Last couple of bits of news then. Interesting one I saw today. On Twitter, Marvel and Marvel UK like to wish all their actors happy birthday.
Okay.
So they'll put like a clip of like Chris Hemsworth, and it'll be like wishing the our God of Thunder a happy birthday or something like that.
Yeah.
They did a birthday message today. So this is Thursday. We're recording this 2nd of September. It's Keanu Reeves' birthday today.
And they've wished him a happy birthday.
And it very quickly got deleted.
Holy
very quickly got deleted.
If
Because everyone was like, hang
Keanu
on,
Reeves
what are you doing?
is in the MCU, I might wet myself.
I think it'd be brilliant. Do you know what? I was literally just popped into my head.
What?
There were talks years ago, before Benedict Cumberbatch was cast as Strange, that Keanu Reeves would be a good Doctor Strange. Can you imagine if we got a variant Doctor Strange and it was Keanu Reeves?
What if he was the Sorcerer Supreme?
Of what? Of a different reality?
Yeah.
Yeah, what if he's just Doctor Strange? What if he's just variant Doctor Strange? Can you imagine Keanu Reeves and Joaquin Phoenix both being there as variant Doctor Stranges because they were both up for the role?
That'd be
That'd
quite
be so
cool.
good. But I feel like I want more of Keanu. I don't know who I want him to play. Wolverine? Could he do Wolverine? Or is he? No, he's not angry enough, is he? He's too calm and chilled out. Don't care. Just get him in the MCU. Professor X. Professor Xavier.
Could you imagine?
I think I'd be alright with that.
Keanu with a shaved head.
I'd be alright with that. I think that'd be good. He's very calm, isn't he?
He's always
Professor
got long
X?
hair. I wouldn't recognise him.
No, I know, but Charles Xavier's always very calm, very mellow, very
Yeah.
well thought out and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And I feel like Keanu Reeves could play that really, really well. Like, never gets too rattled and is always, straight to the point.
Yeah.
Like that. AR Marvel. Use that. Let's talk.
You're
Finally,
welcome.
Oh, yeah. Marvel, who are not listening to this. Talk delays then. So we mentioned delays. There's not massive amounts of comic booky sort of stuff delayed yet. So delays so far all this week, 3 of them are Paramount. We've had Top Gun Maverick has been delayed from November to May. Mission Impossible 7 has been delayed from May to September. So Top Gun Maverick's taken that. You're sitting there just thinking, why are we talking about this in a comic book podcast? Jackass Forever has been delayed from October to February. Ghostbusters,
No.
but only by a week.
Okay.
Ghostbusters has been delayed by a week. But this has got everybody talking like, what else is going to potentially get delayed? Because this is Paramount basically pushing their entire slate back like 3 months, 6 months. So there is talk. Grace Randolph from YouTube, again, take it with a pinch of salt at this point because she's not always spot on with things. She reckons that there's talk that Spider-Man's going to get pushed back to Doctor Strange's March 22nd release date.
If that happens,
We riot.
If that happens, I'm chartering my own plane to
I'm not
Hollywood.
going to be impressed.
And I'm going to be knocking on a few doors, is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I will be livid.
I think that, this is all, we've said this for weeks now. This all comes down to how well Shang-Chi does.
Yeah.
Right? Go and watch
Please.
Shang-Chi 10 times. Then listen to our podcast, those bonus episode, which will be out on Sunday. But go and watch Shang-Chi. Just watch it. You need to get to the cinema because we don't want Spider-Man to get delayed. Fingers crossed it won't do. Because it's going to set the whole MCU back like months again.
Yeah. And look what it did to Black Widow.
Exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if there's more delays there. That's us for news then. So, should we talk about What If?
Let's do it.
So, What If, episode 4, spoiler warning, because we're going to go straight into it. The episode is called What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart Instead of His Hands.
Again, a bit long, innit?
It's a bit wordy. They're getting longer.
Yeah.
They're getting longer as we go, aren't they? Like, even wordier. Next week's episode, spoilers, is going to be called What If Thor Never Got Banished to Earth and instead he stayed on Asgard and took over as king and decided to throw an intergalactic party to celebrate and everyone died. That's the title for next week. Maybe. Seriously though, it was a good episode. It was dark.
Marvel
though.
will listen to this and go, why didn't we think of that?
Maybe we can make it longer.
Oh, God.
It was a good episode. Very dark episode.
Yeah.
Very emotional episode, I'd say.
It was deep as hell.
It
that.
was, wasn't
Yeah.
it? And the ending didn't help.
Not what I expected.
Not at all. I kind of expected this to sort of tie up the first 4 episodes and give us, which it kind of maybe leaned towards and hinted towards, but that ending, it was dark, man.
It was really dark.
We'll come back to the ending though. Again, we're not going to go through the whole episode. We'll talk about what we liked. Sort of theorize a little bit and sort of get through. Let's talk about though the Nexus event because this is what confused me a little bit with this episode.
What specifically was it?
Well, what we've seen so far
Was it that Christine's in the car with him?
Well, no, because
Instead of not being in the car with him.
This is what I don't get right. So far, for every episode of What If, we've been sort of told, or it's been implied, that a single decision has changed the timeline or created a branch reality.
Yeah.
And the Watcher even says it at the start of the episode. He says, one choice can ripple across space and time. So if that's the case, there must be a choice that's led to Christine's death. But in this, there isn't. It was sort of saying...
No, but that's what I'm saying. Was it the choice of them going out together? Because he was in the car on his own?
No, because when you saw all those different things happening, him constantly going back and looping and looping.
But that's because they were saying her death was a fixed point.
So why is it a fixed point? That's what I'm saying.
Because I think it's in that branch.
Yeah, I know, but it made it sound like...
It should have happened.
This is where I'm starting to get confused with it, because surely every time he went back and changed time, that was creating a branch reality.
Yeah.
With a slight... I mean, they might have all got to the same answer, which they must do, because in every single one he became the Sorcerer Supreme, because they always got back to that, because she died in every single one. But...
Well, it's a similar thing to Doctor Who in a way, in that there are a lot of things where decisions can be made differently, but there are certain points in time that are fixed.
Yeah.
And again, because we've now got layers of multiverse, maybe we are in a completely different one where that is a fixed point in time on that timeline.
I know, but
I don't
it's
know.
It's not the only thing. I don't understand why it would therefore collapse that reality.
What do you mean?
Well, because they basically said if because it's a fixed point in time.
Yeah.
If that doesn't occur, then he doesn't become the Sorcerer Supreme, which basically would mean that universe would fail to exist. That's what they're saying. That's why it kept having to happen, because he keeps having to do it. And it's when he basically goes back and tries to stop it that reality is basically destroyed. But surely reality can exist, because we've got in our timeline, as I call it, she didn't die.
Yeah.
See, I really enjoyed this episode, but I struggled through it because I like to be able to figure things out and sort of have a...
Well, this is where I got confused as well, because where was Thanos? Because he was absorbing the creatures and stuff like that.
Yeah,
for so long that the kind of keeper of the books died.
Yeah. Yeah, but he could have just not been wiped out by Thanos. But he couldn't. But he had the Eye of Agamotto.
Yeah.
So he's gone and been there for centuries with that Eye of Agamotto.
Yeah, it's never been taken.
And jumped back.
That's what I mean. So
maybe in this reality, the fact that Christine dies is what stops Thanos.
Maybe. But then
it doesn't happen.
That's what I mean.
It's confusing. I just don't like. I like to be.
Me head in a way.
I like to be able to sort of sit there and go right that, and
yeah,
get it. And this is just maybe we'll get answers, but
probably not.
Probably not. Maybe. Anyway, talking about the branch timelines then. So that whole scene then where he's constantly trying to save her and keep sending himself back in time and looping and time looping. It was great. It was hard to watch.
It was gut-wrenching.
It was. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Because it was just like...
No matter what he did, whether they stayed in, whether they went out, whether he was driving or she was driving, like, no matter what happened...
But they just didn't meet each other because there's one reality where, like, the hospital blew up or something like that.
And the hospital was on fire.
And she got shot in the diner. I was thinking, somebody's doing this.
Yeah,
because the car rammed them from behind, but it's not. I don't get the impression it was just tough to watch because it's like no matter what he does, and you sort of learn it further on in the episode. No matter how
it's harder because he watched her die again and again and again.
It's just like completely futile. Everything he does, and no matter how powerful he gets,
it's not changing it.
No. It's dark. It's depressing this episode, but I still really enjoyed it.
I still really enjoyed it
at the end. The other scene I love, which you talked about before, is the power absorption scene.
Oh, amazing!
So good. I really enjoyed that.
Amazing.
And it was like just the right sort of like mix of humor with like the gnome. Not the first thing he gets because I assume Shuma Garath is what he tries to get first and just like beats him up.
Yeah.
But the gnome, thought that was really good. The bug with the cloak, and he takes the cape off the bug. But I thought I
draw the line at the bug.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. I thought it was good that the way that they made it look, because I know like it had sort of people have criticised the show a little bit for its animation style, and I don't think the animation in general in this one was great. It looked a little bit rough, like I thought like the first episode did. But the choices that they made with it, like every time he absorbed something, he sort of took on its form.
I kind of really want to see that library in live action. Because that was cool.
Yeah, Cagliostro's library. Yeah. The whole thing was great, wasn't it?
I reckon it'd be good if there was a story where Agatha was going for some forbidden book there.
Well, it's funny that you talk about Agatha, because Agatha absorbs other beings' powers.
Well, this is what I thought about when I was watching that's what he was doing.
Yeah. Looks slightly different to when he does it.
Yeah.
The way that they got him to do it with like his eye, like he's sort of like sucking it in from like his eyes and his mouth and everything like that.
Weirdly, because I was on the Doctor Who thing before, it's like a regeneration.
It is a little bit,
because
isn't
it's
it?
the light coming from orifices.
And at the very end, when he's like trying to stop the reality coming in, it did really look like it, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Now, some people have mentioned it, but not mentioned the thing that I thought of. Because some people mentioned about how he looked when it was the shadow with the tentacles coming off him as well.
What does he look? What were they saying looked like?
Well, they were saying that it reminded them of something that I can't remember now. But I thought...
Well done.
I know, yeah. But I thought it looked like Hydra.
Yeah. Yeah, it does a little bit.
It looked like the Hydra sign because of the way the tentacles were all coming off.
Well, I thought that the shadow as well, when he was behind, later on in the episode, when he was just like the shadow on the floor, it looked really like the Watcher. And I think that confused a few people as well, as to like, hang on, is it the Watcher dragging him in or not? And it obviously wasn't. It was Strange Supreme, but it sort of kept you guessing. You
were right from last week when you said that you thought the Watcher was going to get more...
Yeah,
like closer to the action.
Yeah.
And there was an actual conversation between them this time round.
I think there's going to be loads more.
More
interaction.
I thought it was so clever the way they did it.
Yeah. Coming back to that scene though, the way every time he absorbed something and he sort of like became them for a second.
The dragon
looked
was
very
so good.
Was that when he went red? His face went red.
He went red and he breathed a bit of fire.
Very much like Mephisto. He did look like Mephisto.
That's the one time I've not thought about Mephisto.
I know, yeah, and I've dragged it in, but I think it was good. It was a clever way of doing it though, because it showed how he was becoming like less human. So the more and more of these powers he took on, the more he was, or more diluted his humanity was. It sounds deep, that doesn't it?
Yeah. But even when you saw him and Good Strange, face each other, the sunken eyes, the kind of. It's almost like he was wasting away already.
I think it was that. Yeah, I agree, but I think it was like looks like he was like struggling and constantly fighting and putting effort into not becoming what he became at the end of the episode. Basically, it's like he's got so many things potentially trying to take over, and he's having to sort of hold them back. So it's probably making him like weakened. Yeah. But how powerful he still was. Yeah. The whole look of it, like, and again that scene, it reminded me of like proper old school Disney, like Fantasia or something. When he's dragging every single one in. It really reminded me of that. I'm sure there's a scene like that in Fantasia. It looks.
I think there's something like that.
Something similar. Talking about the monsters, do we think that first thing, the one with the tentacles, that had to be the same beast from
Captain Carter?
Captain Carter.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
There's no way it wasn't.
And we still thinking it's Shuma Gorath?
I reckon so.
So if it's Shuma Gorath, which I would agree, Shuma Gorath in the comics has the power to sort of like jump between realities. So now that Strange has absorbed its power, can he just start reality hopping?
Maybe.
And is he going to hop into Multiverse of Madness or No Way Home?
Maybe.
It sort of lends to that theory that the Doctor Strange we've seen in the No Way Home trailer might actually be Doctor Strange Supreme.
There's been so many more theories since that came out though as well about Doctor Strange, because everyone is convinced. Everyone is convinced that it's not Doctor Strange.
I don't think it's Doctor Strange.
Just the way he holds himself, the fact that he does a spell that he would never normally do.
Yeah.
But there is a specific thing about Wong. Have you heard about this?
No, go on.
So as Wong has opened a portal and walks through it, have you looked at the portal?
Yeah, but I couldn't really see what it was.
It looks like I'm going to say gazebo. It's not a gazebo, but it's that type of thing that was in the centre of Westview.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
He also takes 50s style cases in his hands as he goes. So people are asking whether he is Agatha beforehand.
Yeah.
And whether Doctor Strange is Scratch.
Yes, yeah.
And whether there's something going on there.
And
I think that's quite clever.
I think
now,
it is.
I don't know whether it's a bit of a red herring, but I think if that was the story that would be quite cool.
It would be brilliant because there's got to be something to do with it. But I don't know. I never saw the going off the What If episode and going on to Spider-Man No trailer again. But I think it all depends on how much involvement Marvel themselves have had with that trailer and the marketing. Because if it's purely down to Sony, I would take everything at face value completely. If it's Marvel have had a lot to do with it, 90% of that could just be rubbish.
Being totally honest, if I was Sony and I saw the excitement that gets drummed up from a Marvel
just give it to
trailer,
Marvel.
I'd be like, listen, do it.
Yeah.
We will go with what you do because what you do is right.
Exactly.
Like, I think it's a bad move on Sony's part if they don't and just do something at face value.
That's not what these companies do, though, is it?
But, like, even down to the train scene, like we've said, it's like he's chasing Spider-Man rather than kind of running with him. Doctor Strange.
It does look like he is, yeah.
And that's the other thing that kind of
that's what's making me think it's Doctor Strange Supreme.
Yeah.
And then maybe that box that Peter's got is something to imprison him, or maybe something that he's escaped from, or something he's used to travel to an alternate dimension. I don't know. I wonder whether, in fact,
maybe it's a stone.
In fact, I'm going to do it. No, we haven't done ridiculous theories for a little while.
Oh, here we go.
I've got a ridiculous theory for the end of the What If for the end of the What If review, but we'll come to that in a minute. It is ridiculous. I'm just warning you. It's not going to be true. But so the other scene then that was really good was Strange versus Strange.
Yes,
I need to see this in live action.
That would be so cool.
All the spells that they used, the animation style they used, and all the different spells, kind of like different animation styles depending on like what spell he was using. Which I found it great.
Very anime.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
With the actual like symbols on his face and stuff like that, it made me think of like Dragon Ball Z, that type of thing.
Do you know what made me? Do you know what? I didn't even know I didn't know you'd ever watched Dragon Ball Z.
I didn't particularly, but I know the style.
It looked like. Do you remember Captain Ginyu?
No.
There was anyone listening might know it. There's a bad guy in it called Captain Ginyu, and he can do body swaps.
Right,
and when he does a body swap, it looks exactly like Strange when he's absorbing things, like his eyes light up and his mouth lights up. Yeah, it looks exactly like that. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So as soon as I saw it, it reminded me of that. But anyway, we've gone on to. We digress as usual. We're now talking about Dragon Ball Z. But yeah, I thought the scene was fantastic.
Yeah.
And as I said, I want to see it live action. Hopefully, we will see it in Multiverse of Madness.
I hope so.
We've got to see it again at some point. I think it was only like when I watched it for like the second or third time, how sort of like detailed that was, and all the different spells that they're using, and I was gonna say like how cinematic it was, but it's animation. That must take a hell of a lot of writing to sort of write that scene. Yeah, because I'd just be like, they have a fight. Do you know what I mean?
They have a fight. Make it look good.
Yeah, that's what I'd be like. Note to the animation department, make it look really good. Flashy lights and all that sort of stuff.
Make it look like the one that loses nearly wins before he loses.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's how you do fight. But the amount of effort that must have gone into just, as I said, writing that scene and sort of choreographing it. That's the word I'm looking for. So good, and I feel like it'd be easier to choreograph. I'm not sort of putting anyone down. Choreographing that in live action, I would imagine would be easier, because I know you've got to do like all the CG on top of it, but certain things I would guess would sort of like flow and sort of develop as you're moving around on set. Whereas trying to just animate that from scratch is amazing. I just think they've done a really good job with it. I also thought it was good in there the way we got Cape versus Cape. The two capes fighting. I was
made
good.
Up with that.
I really enjoyed that.
I'm not going to lie to you, I was genuinely gutted when the cape got destroyed.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, no.
I know, yeah. It's like a pet.
Yeah.
You do look at it as like a living creature, don't you?
It's like Doctor Strange's Tamagotchi.
That's where you were going with that then. So he forgets to feed it, and he comes back and just sat in the corner covered in poo.
Oh no, it's pooped. Oh god!
Oh, amazing! And then when Supreme finally wins, as we said, and he absorbs the good version of Strange.
Yeah,
I know we've already said like the way that they did that animation when he absorbed anything was really interesting to watch, but specifically with this, how like good Strange is like lying on the floor and he sort of like sucks up onto him and he's facing him and then he slowly absorbs into it.
Yeah,
just so clever. I just thought it was a really, really good shot. So,
and the fact that happened.
What the fuck did he absorb?
The good guy didn't win.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh,
that's the thing.
that's
about
the
this.
route we're going down here.
Exactly. But I still thought
that it was going to pull back.
Yeah.
In some way.
Yeah. And I suppose, he kind of did go good towards the end.
Yeah.
Because he sort of realised what he'd done. And I think that's probably the fact that you've got both Stranges in there. So Strange Supreme was just sort of like the evil side of him, and the good Strange was good. So a little bit of the goodness is coming through, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I kept thinking we're gonna get something that'll go, to make sort of rescue the situation.
Yeah.
But we didn't. It just stayed dark.
The image of him that Christine first saw as well.
Brilliant.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Very Phantom of the Opera.
Yes, I was trying to think of a comparison.
And it's funny because her name's Christine.
What, is she Christine in Phantom of the Opera?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
So I was quite like, the musical side of me was a bit like,
yeah. No, but
I enjoyed that.
But it's like all he'd done and all he'd been through and how much he'd sort of turned himself into a monster.
He'd sacrificed himself, hadn't he?
Basically, yeah. And as soon as he brought her back, it was just like,
it just went horribly wrong.
She doesn't want to be here.
No.
Basically. He looked very, very devilly.
Yeah.
When he turned into that. I'm still going Mephisto. Wait till my ridiculous theory. The power of him, though.
I know.
Like, I genuinely... As soon as when he sort of like blew up and started like ripping reality... Or not ripping reality apart, but, just like instantly just bringing Christine back to life, the power in him, I thought he could properly go up against Wanda with that level of power.
Yeah. Can we also address how the universe was going? That like black ooze dripping up,
so good.
Amazing.
Yeah, and the way it was like
so different from what you'd normally see. Because so many people, when things like this have happened, it's always been kind of fading out in some way, or we've always seen pixelating. It's always that kind of thing. But for there to be some form of actual oozing, loved it. And even with Wong's departure, thought it was brilliant.
The way,
that whole scene.
The way he looked though, it's like it's like the back of his head was gone and like a little bit of the side of it, and it's like it's all just like hollow.
Yeah,
it just looked really good. But I think
so clever.
You're right in that how other things have done it, because this is kind of like the second time Marvel have done this, because they've done the snap and they had sort of like everyone turn into dust.
Yeah.
So to then come up with another clever way of making it look that was completely original.
Yeah.
It looked really good. It looked like black with like all like the gold sparkles on it. Do you know what I mean? It was like gold dust, wasn't it? It looked really good. I like that. So the ending then, we've mentioned it before. It didn't sort of get fixed, which is what I liked, but I don't normally like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm okay with movies like Infinity War and Empire Strikes Back, because I like it sort of like giving us a bit of a cliffhanger, but it's going to be sort of rescued because it's the second to last movie, basically.
Well, this is the thing. Everything's up for grabs. Because it's the multiverse. We can have stuff that ends terribly because it's just one version.
But I don't normally like things, because there are movies out there where it's just like the bad guy wins, or the monster gets them and stuff like that, and that's it. And I don't normally like that. I just think this was done so well.
There's a difference, isn't there? Because obviously there's always that toss up between, obviously you can do things like that, but then at the same time, when a death does happen, is it really as substantial because of it?
Yeah.
And I think that's why I like the fact that they've talked about, that's it for Iron Man. That's it for Black Widow and stuff like that, because there's the genuine consequences, and if we can just bring them back, it kind of defeats the object of the kind of powerfulness behind their actual death.
Yeah. You need it to mean something, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. So I like that they're kind of trying to find that balance where they can tease things going wrong and that being the end of the world.
Yeah.
But then in other ways, they have the option of it's a sad thing that's happened, but that's it. That it's happened.
I'm not convinced it will be the end. I think if there is an overarching story, he's going to get out. I don't think he's going to fix his reality. I think like Christine's gone and stuff like that, but I don't think that's the end of that Doctor Strange.
Don't you?
I don't think that's the last we're going to see of him. But as I said, I'd be okay if it was. I feel like most films, when it sort of ends on that sort of note, like a sad note, it's done for shock value because the film itself isn't that good. Do you get what I mean? It's like gives people something to talk about.
Yeah.
This was just done so well, and I was okay with it. Even that end bit where like it literally, as it's fading out, it's just Strange, and he's just going, no, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was hard, but it was great.
I say horrible. It was amazing, but it was
I get what you mean.
It was just hard to hear.
Yeah. that's it, isn't it?
Because there was no music or anything at first either, was there?
No, I know.
It kind of faded in after the title started.
And I was shocked when it just ended there.
Yeah.
But again, the second time, the third time I watched it, I really appreciated it. It just conveys how it's just completely inevitable. No matter how much he's done to try and do this, it's going to happen. And then you talked about it as well. You mentioned it before, the Watcher. So let's talk about the Watcher then. So he's obviously been in every episode, but he's getting more and more.
So we saw him straight off this time over the city, didn't we?
We did, similar to the shots that we saw in the previous episode when he was like watching over Coulson driving through the desert.
Yeah.
But this is the first time when we've actually seen him interacting with a universe, and he's not with Doctor Strange anyway. But he's not done anything yet.
No.
But he's there.
There's gonna be something, isn't there?
There's gotta be. Do you think it was purely because of how powerful Strange was, or do you reckon he's just got too close?
I think that he's got too close. Because what we're seeing, so the Watcher is supposed to just watch that. It's supposed to be that he's just watching.
Name.
Yeah.
Does exactly what it says on the tin.
Yeah, but like he talks about feelings, and that's the big thing for me, because he basically says, "I do want to punish you because you've royally mucked up here.
Yeah,
but I can't." And I think that line for him is fading, and I think that's what we're seeing. So I think there's going to be a point where the Watcher does step in.
Yeah,
I think that's where we're going,
and I think it's going to be the next episode.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, because I think that what we've been told so far, or like the potential leaks for it, which again, it's not really a leak; it's just sort of what people are thinking, is that Thor ends up holding like some massive intergalactic party, which ends up threatening the universe. And I feel like...
And the Watcher's hammered in the corner.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. The Watcher got invited. And he's had a few too many.
Who said I couldn't have a bevy while I was watching?
I'll fix it. I'll do it. I'll sort it out. There's one more time, I'll fix it. But yeah, I think that's when it's when he's going to get involved. And I don't know whether it's maybe because he's going to threaten more than one universe.
Do you reckon this is where the arc is going to come in, and then the following episode it could be the undead?
I think, so from what I know... I say no, guessing, or heard. I think the zombies episode is the second to last episode.
Oh, is it?
And then the last one is the Ultron episode.
Oh, okay.
So again, they still, from what we're being told, are separate stories.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether it's maybe going to be the very end that he steps in. Could be. Could just be that he interacts. Or maybe he'll just start tweaking slight things to sort of set things on the right course, or get them to a slightly better situation. But I don't know. It's definitely going to start getting more detailed though as we go forward. Talking about the cast then. So quickly talk about the cast. Again, brilliant. Everybody was fantastic. And again, everyone was voiced by their original actors. There wasn't anybody who came in who's voiced by somebody else. We got an additional actor. We got Ike Amadi as Obeng, who was the guy who was in the library. He was good. Yeah. Rachel McAdams back as Christine. She's apparently going to be in Multiverse of Madness, which is weird because we've not seen her for years.
I know, but I kind of like that.
Yeah, she doesn't. We just don't need to just throw her in and find her a part in Infinity War or Endgame.
If she wasn't needed, she wasn't needed. Yeah. But she's there.
Yeah,
and I like that about it. And I like that we can revisit without it being a pivotal point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like creating stories.
It's just like the idea that, well, yes, she's there, she exists, so she's back.
Yeah. But it shows, and we talk about like how big the MCU is, the fact that you've got massive actors like Rachel McAdams who you can just drag in for a couple of lines in What If, and then you can not do anything with her for years and then pull her back into Multiverse of Madness because you need her now at this stage. Yeah. Same with Natalie Portman. When did we last see Natalie Portman? And we're bringing her back to be
Thor 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we're bringing her back to be like the main character in the film. Yeah. It's just like, it just shows how sort of well they've done. Somebody else who I saw in the credits, and it took me 3 goes to figure out where she were. Leslie Bibb was Christine Everhart. So she was the reporter in Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2. So at the start of Iron Man 1, when he sleeps with the reporter, who's then with...
Is she the one that did the report at the hospital?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they brought the actress back in to do the voiceover.
Amazing.
Which is just, again, it's just like a little things like that are great.
Yeah.
Standout, though, had to be Cumberbatch. He was phenomenal. And
Yeah.
again, I mean, he's used to doing it. He's used to voiceover work. I mean, I know we said like last week, Tom Hiddleston, love Tom Hiddleston, but his voiceover work.
Have you ever heard about when
great.
Benedict Cumberbatch did the penguin thing?
What penguin thing?
So he did like a documentary where he was a voiceover about the lives of penguins.
Yeah.
But kept calling them penguins.
I think I've seen that, you know.
And he went on to Graham Norton, and Graham Norton just played the whole like, every time he said penguin.
I think I might have seen
and he was like, he said, you know when you stood there and you're in a recording studio and you're saying the word wrong, but then you're looking at a team of people that are going, yeah, thumbs up and everything from the thing, and he's like, and it's only when I've heard it back and I've realised, and he's like, I don't know how it happened.
Oh my God. Well,
but it just makes me laugh so much.
He's made up for it, and this is probably
Yeah,
I need to be on the ball with this one.
He just avoids the word penguin.
Yeah, don't say
As much as he
penguin.
can.
Do you want to be in Batman?
No. That's why I picked Marvel over DC.
Yeah,
he was like, nah, sod that.
But he's always going to be. He was Smaug, wasn't he, in The Hobbit?
Yeah.
He was the Grinch. I think he was the Grinch in the animated Grinch
was
movie
he?
as well. Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
But he did so well. And again, the fact that he played these two different characters.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got no way to emote as those two different characters, but he just pulled off a complete difference in voice. But it's the same character, different moods, and he conveyed it absolutely perfectly.
Yeah.
So yeah, and again, as I said, everybody was good. Wong, the Ancient One, everyone was absolutely spot on this week. Where do we think it's going then? We think next week we're going to get this link, or do you think it's going to take longer?
I don't know.
Are we convinced they're going to get linked?
I don't think they are. You know,
I'm starting to think less and less that they're going to get linked.
Unless there's one thing that happens, like I don't know, if Ultron's going to be the last episode, that we find out Ultron's managed to do something where it's some form of technology that sparked each of the decision things that have changed.
I wonder whether maybe we're not going to get the link till the end of the last episode, and it's going to link into Multiverse of Madness or into No Way Home.
Maybe.
I'd be alright with that.
Or maybe it just won't at all.
I think there's got to be something, because it's got to link to No Way Home, I think.
Well, the fact that they went out of the way to say that it is canon to the rest of everything that's going on. That's the one thing that's made me go. There's got to be something, but it just seems less likely as we get further along.
I know. I like that we're still talking about it.
Really crazy twist point at the end of the series.
We're halfway through the series now, and we've still not got a link. We still don't know where the overarching story is going. I like it.
What if the link is the Watcher, and he ends up in one of the movies, and it's actually
Jeffrey Wright?
Yeah.
I think they'd probably use CG for him, because the Watchers were in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, weren't they? Or there were a load of Watchers talking to Stanley.
Yeah.
In the post-credit scene in the middle of it. But yeah, potentially. I think we could see a live-action version of him.
Unless because the only thing I can think is he's getting too close. You know, he's getting too close and needs to ask for help. He's getting more and more. I feel like I need to step in, and I want to step in. So whether he's getting more emotive with it, that's the thing. There seems to be emotion being drawn into it, whereas he's been able to be completely kind of separate from it. Yeah, and then he's slowly getting drawn in. And he's being fueled by emotion. Yeah, which he's not supposed to have. No. Which he's not supposed to have at all. I wonder whether he's okay with it at the moment, because the things that are going wrong are confined to an individual universe. And then at the end, something's going to happen. Or whether that's in No Way Home or Multiverse of Madness, something's going to happen that's going to threaten the entire multiverse as a whole. And that's when he feels like he needs to step in. What if Spider-Man's in the last one and it's not voiced by Tom Holland, but it's done by Toby or Andrew? Oh, that'd be amazing. Can you imagine that? If it was just one of them, and then the Watcher goes, I need to get involved, and you need to come with me. Oh, Andy, that'd be so good. That'd be so good. I think. Do you want to know my ridiculous theory? Go for it. Now that I'm trying to read it back, I feel like it's stupid. And I probably shouldn't say it, but as I was watching it, and I think it ties in to a degree. So the things that are making me think it is the fact that he looks very devilish. He does. Are you actually bringing Mephisto into this? I'm bringing Mephisto into this. What if? Because Marvel changed things. Marvel do change things from the comics. What if that Doctor Strange Supreme is the MCU Mephisto? Because he's just basically become like a devil. He's got the power from Shuma-Gorath to
jump between different realities. And he basically wants, because in the comics, Mephisto wants Wanda.
Yeah.
So what if he wants Wanda to create a new Christine, like she did with the boys? Because no matter what he did, his Christine is dead.
Or what if, like the Soul Stone, it's got to be a trade, which is why he's kidnapped the boys?
Potentially, yeah. But what if Wanda's doing that? And it would make sense because he could have taught Agatha to do the power suck. Because Agatha's got the ability to do it. Stop laughing because I said power suck. You know what I mean?
Just say absorption.
Absorption. Am I going to edit it out?
No.
No, we'll leave that in because Anthony's gone. But yeah, so that's my theory. He's Mephisto. He taught Agatha to do the power suck, and and he wants Wanda to create a new Christine because no matter what he does to his Christine, he can't bring her back. He can't basically save her. So if we get a new one, because at the end of the day, it's happened now. The fixed point in time's happened. Christine's died.
Yeah.
What's to stop them creating a new version, which Wanda could do because she can warp realities?
And then White Vision comes back and stops her.
Don't know. It's going to be good though. But yeah, enjoyed the episode. Really confused me. Don't normally like sad endings unless I can sort of see where it's going. But I enjoyed this one.
I really enjoyed it.
I'm okay with it.
And I've had friends message me and say that it's been their favourite one so far.
Yeah, I can get that though.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it is mine, but I completely get why you might think that. Shall we see what the listeners think?
Yeah.
Should we do Pod Fans Assemble?
Let's do it.
Pod Fans Assemble.
Okay, so we put a poll on. What did we think of this week's episode of What If? 74% of you said that you loved it. 22% said it was okay, and we still had 4% that hated it.
What do you people want? It was good.
Every episode's not been the same each week, and we still have between 4 and 7% that seem to hate it.
It doesn't matter whether we've got. It's the Flash fans. It's the Flash fans. They don't like comic book movies.
Must be. So we had Brendan Crilly say it's amazing, shows how far someone will go to bring back the person they love, even if it means costing them their sanity.
That's deep, that, Brendan, but I agree.
Deep. Peacemaker said, this episode was a bit of a letdown. I thought it was the worst episode so far. Personally, I hate magic stories because it's so hard for me to understand, and that was my problem with this episode. I found it hard to follow. Though the Doctor Strange fight was my personal favourite fight sequence in the MCU. Sadly, this episode was spoiled by Marvel, and I wish they didn't do that. Hopefully they don't spoil the next episode, but to be honest, I have to watch this episode again to understand it completely.
I get the confusion.
I 100% get the confusion.
I still don't get it.
I like magic, though. I've got to say, I do love a bit of magic.
I like the magic stuff, but I still got really confused. As I said before on the poll, on what you said, when you said you thought it was the best one and I wasn't convinced. I completely get why it wouldn't be maybe your favourite, but I don't see it personally how it would be the worst.
To be honest,
I think Captain Carter was weak.
T'Challa's still my favourite so far.
Yeah, I would go with that. Yeah.
Mars said this episode broke me, man. That's it.
That's all.
I feel you, mate.
That's all you need to say. That's all you need to say.
Bill Dunn Jr. said, honestly, I have been liking these episodes, with this one being awesome. The art style reminds me of heavy metal, and I wish they released it as one big connected anthology movie than a segment series.
Yeah, it goes back to the release, and I still don't think or see why, if there's no big overarching story, why they couldn't have just dropped this in one.
Yeah.
Which makes me think there's got to be a big story, because there's nothing to spoil week by week, is there?
No. I know. Richard Haas just wrote terrible.
Yeah.
And then Kevin
Not
Franklin,
that I agree. I said then.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
Kevin Franklin commented saying, this has to be a joke. It's the best episode so far and likely a key event for MCU. I agree.
Again?
I think it is a key event.
I think it will be, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't.
Sean Sava says, What If was a knockout. Really reminded me of the Into the Spider-Verse where Kingpin tries to bring his family back and they're terrified.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. I knew it reminded me of something. There's loads of things that it pulls from, which is good because it's got that familiarity. There you go. That.
You're welcome.
Got that.
Everton Carter said, brilliant stuff. You're managing to cover all the different types of what if. First, just one change and then things end up mostly the same. Second, one change leads to a cascade of changes. Things are similar but a lot of characters different, and then big changes and then end of the universe. And again,
Good.
That's something that I like about it, because we are talking about one decision, and that could be a tiny ripple, and it could be the complete end of the world.
Yeah, but I hope we don't go back to next week it being not something really particularly big.
Yeah,
I feel like this is the danger with these.
Yeah, they've built up momentum now that I think they've got to kind of stay.
It's got to be Party Thor. I just don't. I know I said that was the Party Thor this week and it wasn't.
Do you reckon Party Thor's going to have dad bod? Or do you reckon he's going to be...
No, I think he's just going to be like, yeah, he's going to be fit. Yeah,
okay,
you know what I mean. But it's got to be a big episode next week. It's got to be.
Yeah. Maury said, I like this episode. No, she didn't. She said, I feel like this episode was pointless as a standalone thing, but could have big consequences for MCU. Strange felt very emotional in this episode, comparable to Kingpin from Spider-Verse. So we've had that again.
Is that 2 people have said that now?
2 people that have said that,
that's
yeah.
Amazing, yeah.
Corellia Christina said, it stung. That conversation with the Watcher surprised me.
It did.
It was surprising, but I loved it.
But I think it was more, do you know what? It was surprising that he was there at the end and having that conversation. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And then when he just let him crack on and basically, he didn't die, but when he just let it collapse, that was even more surprising, because I thought if he's having the convo, he must be stepping in.
Yeah. And it's like, bye.
Yeah, see you later. Sucks to be you.
And then Sparky Malarkey said, how do they expect me to just go about life as normal after that episode? Also, Sparky Malarkey is a funny name.
I was thinking that as well.
I said it, and I was like giggling internally while I read that out there.
Changing
that was
the name of the
brilliant
podcast to Sparky Malarkey.
I know. It was deep.
It was.
We've then got Sebastian, not Sebastian Stan, just Sebastian, saying,
Sebastian Stan doesn't want to come on the show now because I ripped him to pieces for his voice acting.
I know, yeah.
Go get him.
You're on his blacklist.
Steve.
So Sebastian said, I don't think this episode was pointless like some of the other comments. It might be pointless because it ends with everything destroyed, but that doesn't mean that this universe or this version of Strange is over. I really enjoyed this episode and I think they're getting better. I loved how they explored the depths Strange would go to revive his love. Reminded me of Beauty and the Beast towards the end.
Yeah.
But it was definitely sad to see Strange go down this path of destruction and evil just to pursue what he thought he wanted.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's gonna. I'm okay if it's the end of that story, but I don't.
I thought that was a really good
be.
explanation of it as well.
That was very good.
Yeah.
That was basically summed up. It's just taken us 45 minutes to do it.
And he said it in 8 sentences. Well in.
Yeah.
So then Alan Hangover I said, I thought it was a great episode. Big Doctor Strange fan. Benedict amazing as ever. Loving Evil Strange. We've got Paul Sears who said, I really liked this episode, especially as it was time related. Liked how the Watcher is slowly becoming more involved with each episode. When we finally get Multiverse of Madness, if it's anything like this, it's going to be epic. It makes me even more hyped now for No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
Nathan said, enjoyed this week's episode. Strong emotional story with some great voice work by Benedict. Also like the emphasis on how strong Strange could be if he wanted to be. Anna Rude number 1 said, incredible. Nice.
Sums it up.
Yeah.
Nice and straightforward. I like it.
Keeper of the Sacred Flame said, I liked it. The first episode that actually seemed like it was meant to be for a show. Do you know what? Actually, that's a point, because we haven't talked about this. It didn't feel like we were cramming too much into it this time.
It didn't, no.
It felt the right amount of time for what they put out there.
But it felt like it went on for ages, because I remember when I was on doing the live tweet along.
Yeah.
I said to Keeper of the Sacred Flame, how long is this? How long left of this? Because we must be like at the end of the episode, and we were like 10 minutes in. But the pacing was perfect.
Yeah.
It felt like it had been on for a long time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't rushed.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely spot on.
Avid Gamer said, amazing episode. I'm shocked at the pointless comments. This episode really showed how Doctor Strange can get out of control with his god complex and the consequences that follow such hubris, and directly ties to what's happening in No Way Home when he breaks the multiverse.
Hopefully.
Well, there we go. Again, we've said, it can't be Doctor Strange breaking rules about spells, but we've now seen him break rules for certain reasons.
Yeah.
So can we trust him as much as we thought we could? He was the voice of reason throughout all of Infinity War and Endgame, saying there's possible outcomes, there's only one where we win, blah, blah, blah. But then not getting involved in a way because he's
But I feel like the only thing that drove him to do that was because of Christine. And it's like, I don't know if he'd go, do you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to create the multiverse.
Oh, yeah, no, I know that.
Because this kid's in trouble.
But you've got that doubt in your head now that you didn't have before. That's what I mean.
Yeah. But I can't even see Doctor Strange Supreme doing that. Which is why I'm like, is it strange at all? And then, is what we've seen in the trailer even correct? Or is it just them throwing us? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that
still want to know why it's snowing.
Because there's a hole in the roof. It's been a hole in the roof for 5 years.
I'm not convinced that's the reason.
No, I'm not. I think I am not convinced it's Strange. I'm not convinced it's Mephisto, Strange, or Strange Supreme.
Dr.
I
Freeze.
reckon it could be. I reckon you could be. What's his name? Nicholas Scratch. Not a particularly good wizard, and cocked up and basically made it snow inside. Something you see in Harry Potter, innit? When like Ron does a wrong spell or something, and it snows inside for a week.
Throw up slugs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something like that. Maybe it's Ron. Multiverse.
Goldfish said, this episode was really cool. I don't really get how people call these episodes pointless. It's a what-if show. You shouldn't expect it to set anything up in the main series, but if it does, it's great. Added bonus, yeah, get that. At most, it adds more depth to lore and character. Yeah, I agree. We've then got Jesse who said, it was fine, but kind of pointless. I also feel like it diminished Doctor Strange as he was more emotional, which weakened his judgment, which is not a testament to his character.
Pretty much what we just said. It showed a completely different side of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And again, I don't agree with the pointless thing. I think it's so weird how we've got like one saying it's not pointless, one saying it is pointless all the way through. I think it's purely because people have grown to think MCU, all interconnected, everything means something, and then we've got something which is potentially not.
I also like that, like, everyone's always gone good is good and bad is bad, and it's not always that easy.
Nope.
And I feel like that's what this is doing, and it's crossing those lines and seeing what will push them, what will push somebody to the point.
Yeah.
We've explored it with Wanda in WandaVision.
Yeah.
We're now exploring it with Doctor Strange in this episode of What If. Like, you just don't know. There's always going to be something that could really turn somebody. Mm-hmm. Kenneth said, this week's What If is epic. If the Multiverse of Madness is anywhere near as good as this, it's going to be a staggering film. What did you think, superhero thing? So, I mean, we spent 45 minutes telling you, so it's, yeah, loved it.
He'll know at that point.
He'll know.
He knows now.
Yeah.
He knows.
Jalen said, sad.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I think that sums it up quite well, though. It was a sad episode. Excellent, but it was sad. I came out of it thinking that was brilliant, but I feel like going off for a little cry.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing, if Marvel did that more with their actual villains, we'd have a better story arc with the villains.
Yeah, we would, yeah. But then we always, again, it's the thing that I don't like about Marvel. It's like they either turn the goodies into villains, like in this, or they end up turning the villains into anti-heroes. Do you know what I mean? Or they die and they're the bad ones. So yeah, but it's given villains a bit more complexity, which is what Marvel need to be doing.
Yeah. Kobe, pretty amazing. Nice and simple.
Yeah.
God King Rooster, Doctor Strange makes for a good evil guy.
He does. And Benedict Cumberbatch, it's just like he was just allowed to just let rip with it.
Yeah.
So he did really well.
Rachel Miller, loved it. It was different, dark, sad, and loved the time element. It reminded me of the Time Machine, where whatever he does, he cannot save her.
Yeah.
Loved the interaction with the Watcher too. I also thought the graphics were beautiful and the pacing spot on.
Yes, we said the pacing. That was it. That was it for this episode.
Jones2552 said, it's a meh from me across the board now. Not that impressed. If I'd have to vote, it would be okay, but it's more towards hate it.
I get it. I feel like I get the logic. It's because people like the interconnectedness, if that's a word, of the MCU, and this isn't doing it for them.
But again, I like the break from the interconnectedness.
Yeah.
We've had a 12-year interconnectedness.
Yeah,
it's nice to just kind of come up for air.
I say have a bit of fun. It's like, this was a really depressing episode. But, I know what you mean.
But yeah, like, I don't... The best way to describe it is I don't need to think about it, apart from this episode, because it's all timey-wimey.
Yeah.
But in general, I've not had to think about it. It's just been each of its own story, and I've just been able to enjoy it as it is.
And you don't have to sit there and theorise about what it's going to do for the rest of the series.
Which WandaVision
create a podcast and sit and talk for 45 minutes about where it's going.
Exactly.
Don't have to do that.
And then Geeky Nate said, okay, that episode was awesome. And being left in his little pocket while being aware of the fourth or fifth dimension. So I'm calling it This Strange Detects the Spell, Our Strange Casts, Interferes, Escapes to Our Earth. Spidey knows this is the Evil Strange, aka the Fighting, the Sinister Six.
Sinister Six.
The Sinister
I helped
Six
you out this time.
are pulled in by Evil Strange.
Yeah. To sort of take out the good Strange. Yeah, I could see that. I like that.
And then Nate also gave us a what if scenario as well.
Okay, fire away.
What if question for this week? What if Hawkeye died for the Soul Stone?
Ooh, I don't know.
I don't know.
It'd have. I don't know how much it would have affected the MCU so far, because I feel like the end of Endgame would have been the same to a degree. Yeah. I know Hawkeye was the one who sort of like got the Infinity Gauntlet in the first instance, but I think we would have ended up still with the same ending. I think that the changes would have been really for the future of the MCU.
What and we are forgetting,
the new teams.
Hawkeye was the one that tested the time travel.
Yeah, but that was before she died. That was before Nat died.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think it would have made a massive difference up to now, but I feel like where the MCU is going, it would have changed massively, because the MCU now is about a new team, isn't it? That's it. It's a new team. We've got whether it's the Young Avengers or not, it's a new team of heroes that we're getting. We've got Yelena. We're going to get Kate Bishop and Hawkeye, and they're probably going to be quite pivotal parts of that team. Yeah. And if Hawkeye had died instead, we probably wouldn't be getting Kate Bishop at all.
No.
And we probably then wouldn't be getting Yelena stepping in, because she's only stepping in because Nat's gone, really. Yeah. So I don't think it would have made a huge difference up to now, but I feel like we'd have a very, very different future. Phase 4 and Phase 5.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Madness. And there'd still be more people alive, because he wouldn't have gone on his... No, it's before that. I keep getting time mixed up.
It's so
Ignore
good.
me.
It's this episode all the time. Rewind me stuff completely sent you all over the place. Thanks, Nate, for that one.
Yeah, cheers, Nate.
Should we wrap up?
Yeah.
Right, so thanks for listening to the show, and don't forget to come back next week for our review of What If Episode 5, which really potentially will be the Thor episode this time. You can find all our episodes at thatsuperherothing.com, along with all of our social media links. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. On the website, you can also sign up for our email newsletter, where you receive new episode alerts and news on upcoming shows. You can contact us on any of our socials and submit thoughts and theories for next week's Podfans Assemble. If you've enjoyed the show, please do consider rating and reviewing it on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. It does really help us get seen by more people.
Yeah.
Also, if you are enjoying the show and you'd like to support the show, as we said, you can go to thatsuperherothing.com/Patreon or patreon.com/thatsuperherothing, just like Geek and 8 and Kenneth have done, and you can support the show that
Extra
way.
content.
Exactly. I like that little bit of music there as well, Anthony. Well done. I've been trying to get you to sing for ages and you won't do it. There you go, listeners. If you stayed and listened to the end, that's your little reward for that. But yeah, there is extra content there. There's the Discord servers, as we said, which have been going really well for 2 days, to be fair. And I think, again, you don't have to wait and listen to the podcast. You can sit there, listen to it be recorded. We might get this down to like an hour and 15 minutes, but poor Nate's been listening for 6 hours. I'm going to edit loads out. No, I haven't really. But yeah, other than that, though, thank you very much for listening. That's everything from me, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.